You know when you're standing on the very edge of a high dive?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely terrifying.
Right. Like your toes are curled right over that rough, gritty surface of the board, and you're just looking down at the water. It's a completely binary moment. You either jump or you climb down the ladder in defeat.
Well, and the water is down there waiting, you know? It's a known quantity. I mean, you might do a belly flop, and yeah, it might sting, but you know exactly what you are jumping into.
Exactly. But imagine if you looked down, and instead of a clear blue swimming pool, there was just fog.
Ugh, just a drop into nothing.
Just a bottomless, gray abyss. You have absolutely no idea what happens if you step off. Do you fall forever? Do you land on a trampoline? Do you hit concrete?
That changes the math completely.
Totally. Climbing back down that ladder doesn't feel like defeat anymore. It feels like, basic survival.
Because we are fundamentally wired to be terrified of the unknown. Like, we crave the certainty of the water, even if it's going to hurt, because the abyss offers literally zero guarantees.
Right, and we all face that fog every single day. And according to the audio source we're unpacking today, that fear of the abyss dictates almost every decision we make.
Yeah, it really does.
So for the listener, we are taking a custom-tailored journey today through the 29th gene key.
Which is literally translated as the abysmal, fittingly enough.
Right. So the mission of this deep dive into the source material is to explore the evolution of our life force. We're going to trace how our daily energy moves from a state of half-heartedness up into true commitment and ultimately into profound devotion.
What's fascinating here is that this text offers a highly specific map for understanding how we relate to the present moment. I mean, it frames the 29th gene key not as some, lofty mystical abstraction, but as a really practical mechanical guide to how we use or waste our daily energy.
Yeah, it sets right down to it.
It does. It forces us to ask, where is our life force actually going right now?
Okay, let's unpack this, because the core dilemma we face is this choice between either postponing our lives or living in terror of that unknown abyss.
Right, so we hold back.
We hold back. And to understand how to move past that, we really have to look at what the source calls the shadow state. This is, the bottom rung of the ladder where most of us are currently stuck in our day-to-day.
Yeah, and the shadow frequency here is defined as half-heartedness, which manifests in our lives as postponement.
Right.
Because we all carry around these really vivid mental pictures of how our lives are supposed to look. We have expectations for our careers, for the way our partners should behave, even for how a Tuesday morning should feel.
Yeah, the ideal Tuesday.
Exactly. And when reality inevitably fails to match that mental construct, our energy just instinctively withdraws from the present moment. We mentally check out.
Wow, yeah. We literally postpone our actual lives because the reality right in front of us isn't meeting, the brochure we designed in our heads.
That's a great way to put it. And the material divides this withdrawal into two distinct behavioral patterns. So first, you've got the repressive types.
Okay.
These are individuals who suppress their own energy, often out of this deep underlying fear of letting other people down. So they might get locked into a deeply unfulfilling career or stay in a draining dynamic, basically becoming victims of their own choices.
The text uses a pretty stark analogy for this, right?
Yeah, it compares this state to a mouse running on a spinning wheel. I mean, the mouse is exerting tremendous energy running constantly, but the track was built by someone else's expectations.
They just keep moving to avoid stopping and feeling the emptiness of it all. And, the source mentions this can also manifest as addictive patterns, where someone just goes on doing things that physically or emotionally hurt them because the wheel is basically all they know.
Right. And then on the flip side, we have the reactive type.
Which is a very different energy.
Very different. These are the individuals who simply quit what they begin the second the initial excitement fades. Or, even worse, they just refuse to start anything at all.
Yeah, the serial quitters.
But the text makes a really compelling observation about these reactive types. The people who are most terrified of true commitment often lead the most intensely overcommitted lives.
Oh, that is such a great paradox. They fill every single hour of their calendar to the brim. Like they join committees, they take on side hustles, they schedule just endless social events.
Yep, they are constantly doing something.
But by spreading their energy paper thin across, 100 different obligations, they successfully avoid the vulnerability of committing deeply to any one single thing.
Exactly. They stay perpetually busy to avoid standing on the edge of the diving board. I mean, they fear the abyss of not knowing where a single deep commitment will lead them, so they just commit to everything at a surface level instead.
It's It's like having 50 browser tabs open on your computer at the exact same time,
Oh, I do that all the time.
right? You feel incredibly busy, your computer's fan is whirring, the battery's draining, you're overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information on the screen, but you aren't actually reading a single page.
No, you're just stressed out by them.
Exactly. You are completely uncommitted to being present on any one tab. You're just managing the low-level anxiety of keeping them all open.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that cognitive load just drains us. The source argues that this shadow state of half-heartedness literally robs us of our joie de vivre, like our fundamental joy of living.
Because we're not actually there to experience it.
Right. By holding a part of ourselves back, by constantly running ahead in our minds to manage all those open browser tabs, we completely miss the magic of the immediate moment. We postpone the only essential thing we actually possess, which is our presence in the now.
Wow. Okay, so if the shadow state has us spinning our wheels in 50 different directions, the text suggests the way out is to completely redefine what the word commitment actually means.
Oh.
And this brings us to the gift frequency of the 29th key, which is true commitment.
And the source makes a pretty radical claim here. It states that true commitment is only ever to the present moment.
Wait, only the present?
Yes. Decisions made from this gift frequency come from a place of profound, quiet inner certainty in the now. They never come from the chaotic, nervous energy of excitement or emotional impulses.
Really? Not even excitement?
Not even excitement. Those turbulent feelings, according to the text, belong entirely to the shadow state.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because I have to push back on this a little.
Go for it.
Commit only to the present. How does that actually work in reality?
Yeah.
Like, if I don't commit to showing up at my job tomorrow, or if I, refuse to commit to paying my mortgage next month because I'm just living in the now, my life is going to fall apart pretty quickly.
Oh, totally.
Isn't the entire concept of commitment based on promising to do something in the future?
It's a very natural friction point when we hear this concept. I mean, everyone asks that. But the source addresses this by distinguishing between obligations and internal energetic commitment.
Okay, what's the difference?
The argument is that you cannot authentically commit your energy to the future because your life force is not available to respond to something that hasn't happened yet.
Oh, I see.
You can sign a 10-year mortgage, that's an external contract, but internally, you can only know the truth of your energy right now.
So it's about not agonizing over how you'll feel about the mortgage in year 7.
Exactly.
When you just trust that if your energy is fully aligned with the decision to buy the house today, you will have the clarity to handle year 7 when it actually arrives.
That's spot on. The 29th gift realizes there are no incorrect decisions in life if you are anchored in this higher frequency of the heart. I mean, when you let go of trying to force a specific future outcome, you stop making those nervous, calculated decisions.
You just kind of surf the wave.
Yeah, and the text describes this as developing a genius for making your own luck. You develop an innate barometer for good fortune because you start naturally aligning with the right cycles of life, rather than fighting them constantly.
The text also pairs this with a programming partner, the 30th gift of lightness.
Which is fascinating because it completely reframes risk.
It really does.
It's about having fun and taking inherent risks, but taking them from a heart-centered place instead of, like, a calculated mental spreadsheet.
Because life is deeply dangerous when viewed exclusively through the anxious lens of the mind. The mind always wants guarantees. But when you live from the heart, risk is still present, but it becomes part of the adventure. It's the joy of the mystery ride.
Right. And, it's relatively easy to adopt this mystery ride philosophy when you're dealing with, say, a solo creative project or a career move.
Sure, when it's just you.
But the real test of this present moment theory is when another human being is involved. Like, how does this hold up when we are talking about our closest ties with other people?
Yeah, the crucible of relationships. Well, the 29th key plays a central role in what the source calls the codon ring of union.
It's a grouping of genetic codes that acts as a blueprint for unlocking love through relationships. And the material delivers a very strict golden rule here. Relationships blossom only through 100% commitment.
And the author's completely uncompromising on the math here. Yeah. They state that a 99% commitment is fundamentally the exact same thing as a 1% commitment.
It sounds harsh, but in the realm of the heart, holding back 1% means the commitment is entirely conditional. It is still half-heartedness.
So let's explore how that actually destroys a dynamic. Because the source suggests we do this chemically, deep inside.
Yeah, it's physiological.
Right. It's not necessarily about what we say out loud to our partner. We might say, I'm all in. But internally, we keep this tiny emotional escape hatch open to protect ourselves.
Just in case.
Exactly. Our nervous system is secretly scanning for the exit, just in case things go bad. And because our bodies are constantly putting out that subtle frequency of conditionality, the other person feels it, and the relationship can never truly ground itself.
We withhold our full presence out of fear. And, the text offers a strong and potentially challenging recommendation here.
Oh yeah, this part was intense.
It suggests that anyone working with these principles should stay in their relationships through the heavy emotional storms, rather than abandoning ship when it gets hard. The author actually goes so far as to refer to us as a lazy generation that gives up on union way too easily.
And we should caveat that right now.
Yes, absolutely. It is crucial to note the text makes an absolute, explicit exception for physical abuse. In that scenario, you must leave. But outside of abuse, the advice is to stay and hold your nerve.
So what does this all mean? Because telling people to just stay when a dynamic gets emotionally heavy or difficult feels a bit risky.
I know it does.
Isn't there a huge danger of someone staying in a completely miserable, toxic situation just to prove to themselves that they have 100% commitment? Like, it sounds like a recipe for becoming a martyr.
This raises an important question, and thankfully the source provides a vital nuance to prevent exactly that misunderstanding. Staying, in this context, is not about enduring misery for the other person's sake.
Right, it's not about them.
No, it's not about being a martyr or trying to fix a broken partner. It's about using the challenging circumstance as an internal crucible. The relationship literally becomes a training ground to learn the ultimate trick: how to keep your own heart open. It's about mastering the art of returning non-love with love.
Okay, so to put this in real-world terms, let's say your partner comes home after a terrible day at work and they just snap at you over something trivial.
Happens all the time.
They're throwing non-love at you.
Right.
Frustration, anger, distance.
Mm-hmm.
Your job in that moment isn't to fix their mood, and it certainly isn't to snap back and defend yourself.
Which is our instinct.
Right. Your actual job is to observe your own chest tightening, notice your instinct to close off, and actively choose to keep your heart open anyway.
Yes. You shift the entire focus away from controlling their behavior, and you place it purely on mastering your internal state. You offer love regardless of the external conditions.
Oh, that's so hard to do.
It's incredibly hard. But once you master that art of returning non-love with love, that 100% commitment begins to internalize. It honestly ceases to be about the other person at all. It deepens until, as the text describes it, it detonates inside you.
Wow. Detonates. And when that commitment detonates, we step into the final transformation. We reach the highest possible state of being for the 29th gene key, which is the city, or the highest frequency, of devotion.
And the material points out something deeply human here. We are all naturally devoted to something.
We can't help it.
Right. The egoist is utterly devoted to their ego. The salesman is devoted to his profits. Even a person suffering from severe depression is deeply devoted to their misery.
It makes me think of a twisted vine.
Oh, how so?
Like, imagine a plant growing in a dark room, and it's reaching desperately toward a harsh artificial light in the corner. The vine gets all gnarled and unhealthy because the light source is toxic.
Right.
But the sheer force of that plant pushing toward the light is staggering. So a depressive person who is completely consumed by their misery is demonstrating a raw, powerful capacity for devotion. The vine is just pointed at the wrong sun.
That's a beautiful analogy.
Thanks. If they can untwist that vine and redirect that exact same intense, laser-focused energy toward love, it basically becomes an absolute superpower.
And that capacity for devotion is always hidden right inside the shadow state. In the context of this gene key, true devotion is the profound, heartfelt knowing that love is the root nature of all reality.
Which sounds very poetic.
It does, but the text critiques our modern Western scientific culture for losing touch with this completely. Like, we tend to view devotion as backward, or we dismiss it as blind devotion, as if it's a weakness or something to be mocked.
Yeah, we treat it like it's naive to be devoted.
But the text actually embraces that label. True devotion is blind. I mean, it is mad enough to jump straight into the abyss of the human wound.
Back into the fog.
Exactly. But it doesn't do so out of ignorance. It does so because it sees with the eyes of trust. It trusts that if you pour your heart out unconditionally, your love will be returned in every situation, magnified.
Okay, Let's pause here because the source uses some incredibly dense jargon to describe what happens next.
Oh, the space-time thing.
Yes. It claims that this unconditional pouring out of love builds pressure until it, quote, literally ruptures the space-time continuum, resulting in a causal event of pure grace.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
That sounds like science fiction. What does rupturing the space-time continuum actually mean for a normal person sitting in their living room?
Let's bring that down to earth. Think about the standard mechanics of a human argument. If someone insults you, the law of cause and effect says you insult them back, or you withdraw, right?
Yeah, it's predictable.
It's entirely predictable. But if someone attacks you with non-love, and you respond with pure, unconditional grace, you don't defend, you don't attack, you just radiate love, you completely short-circuit the expected timeline of human behavior.
Oh, I see.
You break the causal chain. The argument dissolves instantly because you refuse to participate in the mechanics of time and ego. And that, in a practical sense, is a causal event of pure grace.
You essentially break the rules of reality through love.
Exactly.
And the source quotes an old Sufi equation that sums this up beautifully.
Mm.
Lover merges with beloved, and all that's left is love.
And to truly visualize what this kind of radical blind devotion looks like in practice, the source finishes with a story by the Persian poet Hafiz.
Right, called Bring the Man to Me. Let's walk through this story for the listener because it's a total gut punch.
It really is. So a perfect spiritual master is traveling in the desert, and through his divine intuition, he senses that an escaped slave is hiding in a nearby cave. The slave is terrified, still bound in heavy shackles, praying desperately to God for help. So the master sends one of his close disciples to retrieve the man. But he gives him incredibly strict orders.
Where's your what?
He says, "You must not speak a single word to him. Just bring him to me so I can personally untie his body and press my lips to his wounds."
Wow. So the speechless disciple rides out and finds the slave.
Yep.
And because he cannot speak, the disciple just pantomimes toward the sky, trying to communicate through gestures like, God saw you in prayer, I am here to rescue you.
But the slave has no idea what's happening.
Right. He is paralyzed by fear. He assumes he's being captured to be returned to a cruel master. So he violently fights the disciple. He shouts. He tries to sprint away, but he trips over his own heavy chains.
So the disciple is forced to physically subdue the frantic man and tie him to a horse for the journey back. And they travel through this glorious, mystical desert night. The text describes the earth as a church floor, and the sky is filled with singing candles.
Just gorgeous imagery.
But the slave is completely oblivious to the beauty. He is just weeping, being dragged behind a horse, walking toward what he basically believes is the ultimate abyss of his own destruction.
I want you, the listener, to really think about this image for a second. The slave is violently fighting the exact force that was sent to save him. How often are you the slave in this story? How often are you fighting bitterly against the present moment, resisting what life is trying to bring you because your mind is terrified it's a trap?
We all do it. We all resist the circumstances designed to free us. But as the story continues, something incredible happens.
Right.
Several times during the long night, the speechless rider stops the horse. He climbs down, brings his face right up to the prisoner's tear-stained eyes, and just radiates deep, profound kindness.
He doesn't say anything, though.
Not a word. The writer communicates an unbelievable hope through his silence. He actually weeps tears of happiness for the slave, knowing the freedom that awaits him at the end of the journey. He is silently projecting, God has seen your heart in prayer and sent Hafiz.
Synthesizing this poem with the 29th gene key is just stunning, because that speechless disciple perfectly represents the highest frequency of devotion.
He really does.
He is exhibiting 100% commitment. He is absorbing the slave's anger, the physical fighting, the terror, the non-love, and he's returning it only with deep, silent love and tears of joy.
Yeah.
He doesn't try to logically explain the future to the panicked slave. He just holds the space of love in the present moment until the slave can be safely delivered to freedom.
That haunting image really encapsulates the entire journey of this gene key. I mean, we started by looking at how to escape the shadow of half-heartedness, where we act like mice on spinning wheels, managing our 50 open browser tabs and postponing our actual lives.
Then we explore the gift of commitment learning to step off the edge into the abyss of the present moment with 100% of our energy, trusting that quiet inner certainty instead of trying to control the future.
And finally, we looked at how that absolute commitment, especially within the challenging crucible of our relationships, eventually deepens into profound devotion. It becomes this superpower of returning non-love with love, short-circuiting the ego until only love remains.
To leave you with a final thought to mull over today, let's go back to the 29th gift's ability to make your own luck.
Yeah.
We discussed how this gift naturally creates good fortune simply by releasing the anxious need for a specific future outcome.
Right.
So what would happen if you applied this to the single biggest goal or situation you are stressing about right now?
Oh, that's a great question.
If you completely dropped your rigid expectation of how that situation is supposed to resolve and just committed 100% of your energy to whatever the next natural step is right in front of you today, would the abyss you are so terrified of actually turn out to be a launch pad?
It really changes the way you look at the fog.
It does. Next time you're standing on the edge of that high dive and you look down and see nothing but the unknown, maybe don't climb back down the ladder. The water might be there. You just have to jump to find out. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you on the next one.